Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Coaching Angel Show. My name is Angel, and I am your host. As you know from my previous shows, I'm so excited to be here on Transformation TV, where I bring you interesting, inspiring, and motivating individuals from the personal development and self-help industry who are making incredible differences in the world. And today is a particularly special day here on the show because I have a brilliant guest who is just the most incredibly diverse person I've yet to interview. His name is Dr. Joe Vitale, and I'm so excited that he's here. Dr. Joe, also known as Mr. Fire, is the author of more than 80 books. One of his most popular titles, Zero Limits, shares the secret Hawaiian system for wealth, health, peace, and more, which reflects an ancient Hawaiian practice known as Ho'oponopono. A fan favorite, Joe has hosted multiple live events nationally as well as internationally on this subject. He's created a huge following just on his work alone. He's been in 15 movies. He's a musician, a composer. He's created an audio program. His latest is The 0 Point. His popular title, Attract Money Now, is taking the world by storm as he's giving it away for free. President of Hypnotic Marketing, he's the world's first hypnotic writer. He's being called the Buddha of the internet after his huge weight loss. Often known for his publicity stunts, Dr. Joe is always up to creating an impact with his work. He's been featured on Larry King Live, Newsweek, CNBC, Extra TV, as well as his podcasts. He was a national keynote speaker at the prestigious Hay House Conference. Interviewed several times on CNN, Dr. Joe is a personal development leader worldwide. Joe's marketing methods have made people millions. In 3 days, selling online, Joe created a home-based study course called Hypnotic Selling Secrets, which made $450,000. He's been involved in every area of marketing and has shared the steps and tools for abundance and success. He's a sought-after speaker, teacher, and coach. Along with his life partner, Lisa Winston, they'll be speaking and teaching this summer in Europe as well. I could go on because this man is incredibly diverse, but instead, I would like you to hear more from him directly so he can fill you in a little bit on his journey. And so with that, I want to welcome you to the show, Dr. Joe Vitale. It is an extreme pleasure to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I've been looking forward to this. I saw that interview you did with Lisa, and it was fantastic. And I thought, I want to be with this woman too. So thank you for having me here now.
For those that might not have seen the show I recently did with Lisa Winston, Lisa is Dr. Joe Vitale's life partner and a fantastic gal. So it's a delight to have her partner here with me today. So let me start by asking you a simple question. Who really is Dr. Joe Vitale?
Well, I'm going to answer that in two ways. On the public view, I'm an author, I'm a musician, I'm a marketer, I'm a magician. I have lots of interests, and there's a lot of things that I do, basically following my passion. That's on the public side. On the internal side, I'm really a spiritual being living out the most exhilarating theater of my life on the material plane. So there you have it, the yin and yang of Joe.
What a big wow. And you are a big wow. I mean, there's just so much to you. I had trouble trying to figure out what I was even going to ask you on this interview because there's just so much about you that I would love to know. I've mentioned many things that you have been a part of in the bio that I started to share at the beginning of our talk. But maybe for those that might not know you, which is kind of surprising because pretty much everybody around the globe knows who you are, particularly in personal development. Tell people a little bit about the work that you're passionately involved in the world today.
Well, what I'm doing today is helping people to awaken. I think what our job is here on earth is to awaken, and what do we awaken to? Our own divinity. I've gone through homelessness, I've gone through poverty, I've gone through the struggle and the long dark night of the soul, came out on the other side, and as I keep working on myself and I keep discovering new techniques, new methodologies, and have my own personal breakthroughs and my own awakenings, I write about them and then I share them with other people. And what I'm trying to do is just bring everybody towards the light. And I do it through my speaking, I do it through my writing, I do it through my music, I do it in whatever way occurs to me that might be useful. So I really think what my job is to inspire people to awaken and go for their dreams so they can have, do, or be whatever it is that they imagine.
I guess we're really on the same path, you and I. As a life mastery consultant, dream building is a great piece of the work that I have the pleasure of doing with my clients, and it is truly transformational, to say the least, to see people just really come alive and discover who they are and why they're here and start to become living on some kind of a purpose-driven path, if you will.
Yes.
What is a little bit of a description for those that don't know about Ho'oponopono? What is that, so my audience can learn more?
Oh boy, that's a big subject. I'm glad that you're asking me about it. Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian healing method that is basically involving 4 phrases that you say within yourself as you address your connection to the divine, the great something, to God, to the universe. And those 4 phrases are, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. Now, when I first say them like that, it sounds simplistic. It doesn't even feel like there's much power to it. But when you hear the story behind it, when I first heard the story, it was about an unusual therapist who helped heal an entire ward of mentally ill criminals using this technique. And I wrote about it in my first book on Ho'oponopono, which was called Zero Limits. Later, I wrote a sequel called At Zero. And what I did was meet the therapist, study with the therapist, learn all about Ho'oponopono, practice it for myself. I found the social workers that were at that hospital. I found the story was entirely true. And I found that how you use Ho'oponopono is remarkably different than other self-help techniques. First of all, you take 100% responsibility for everything going on in your life. And that means everything. There's no disclaimers. There's no get out of jail card. If somebody does something to offend you, you take responsibility for what they did. That's the first level of responsibility, and that alone is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
The second thing that happens in Ho'oponopono is that you correct the problem inside yourself. You don't correct the other person. Going back to that therapist in the hospital for the mentally insane, he didn't walk around trying to cure the inmates. When he looked at the inmates and he felt what was bothering him, he was upset about them, he was enraged, he was embarrassed, he was confused. Whatever he felt is what he said those phrases on. So if he's looking at an inmate who was a murderer, and some of them were, he'd look at himself, and instead of judging that person, he'd say inside himself, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. As he feels like he's addressing those statements to his connection to a higher power. And what he's trying to do is find his inner peace. And the irony is, when he gets to inner peace, the outer changes. As he practiced Ho'oponopono on himself, the patients got better. So this is a very tight Cliff Notes encapsulated version of Ho'oponopono. It's difficult to explain the whole thing in a couple of minutes, but it has changed my life and changed hundreds of thousands of people around the world. The single one thing has caused a movement of people who are practicing, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you.
What a beautiful thing. You know, it sounds like a process that's just really freeing. And most of us really need that. You know, a lot of us carry so much resentment and unforgiveness, and we don't know how to process it. Forget about release it. So what an amazing process to learn more about. And I know you have a lot out. You have a course on it. You have books.
I did 3 seminars with the therapist, Dr. Hulen, and we wrote the first book together, Zero Limits. The second one, At Zero, I wrote by myself. So I have certifications on it. There's course material on it. There's a lot of online material. But if anybody's interested and this is their first time to hear it, I would say just go to the library or go to Amazon and pick up the book Zero Limits. That one book alone will blow your mind, not because I wrote it, but because the story and the methodology in it and all the stories of people who have used it are just almost beyond belief. And yet, this is the new reality. This is what I want people to awaken to. They can awaken to a freedom and an ability to empower themselves that they never even imagined was possible before.
We always have the power within us, don't we, Dr. Joe? Isn't that the way it is? When we tap into that, so many miracles occur. So many things change when we just connect to that. So many people are looking for it outside of themselves, but it's deep within each one of us. It really is.
Well, I don't blame people looking for the outside, because that's how we were all brought up. We were all brought up, in a sense, looking for the solution. And we keep doing that. But at a certain point, usually through meditation, but sometimes if people are lucky, they see a show like yours, or they read the right book or see the right movie, and they learn to be empowered. They learn to be more spiritual. They find their inner connection. And that inner connection provides the answers they're looking for. And that's where true freedom comes in. And that's available to everybody right now. Absolutely. All of us.
Well, a lot of people do know of you from the movie The Secret. Talk to me a little bit about The Secret.
Well, I love The Secret. Whether I was ever in that movie or not, I'd still be telling people to watch it. Because in 2006, that movie made a metaphysical principle of the universe public. It made it available to the masses. Mm-hmm. The law of attraction and self-help techniques like it have been around for centuries. And the phrase has been around since the 1800s. But there was no movie that I was aware of that was out there in a popular, accessible way. So when The Secret came out, oh my goodness, it changed the lives, and it's still changing the lives of millions of people. I'm still traveling around the world, going to countries I didn't even know existed, because they saw the movie The Secret and they want me and some of the other teachers to come and speak. So The Secret is absolutely breathtaking. If somebody hasn't seen it or read the book, go to Amazon, get the movie, watch it wherever you can find it, or read the book. The website's thesecret.tv. And since The Secret, I've been in maybe 15, 16, 17 movies.
Incredible.
All of them trying to do what The Secret did, all of them giving a glimpse of what's possible. And in fact, here's some news that most of your people won't know yet. Your listeners, your fans, your viewers. There's a Hollywood version of The Secret coming out any day now. And when I mean Hollywood version, I mean this was done as a story. The original movie, The Secret, was a talking head movie, and I was one of the talking heads in that movie. John Asseroff, Jack Canfield, Bob Proctor, Lisa Nichols. There's a long list, 20-some people that are in that movie. But there's a Hollywood version coming out, which is another attempt to deliver the same information, but in a digestible way. The documentary, which was the original The Secret in 2006, was easy to watch, well done, captivated people. But this Hollywood version coming out any day now is probably going to reach even more people, because you can watch it without thinking. You know, it's like a traditional movie. You just kind of sit there and lay back and absorb the story. Yeah. So there's lots of cool things like that coming down the pike, and God bless them and Godspeed to all of them doing it, because it does nothing but help us all.
I study that work and I teach that work, and I just think it's pretty amazing myself. It never gets old. So I'm curious myself with this next question. What got you into personal development in your life? How did you land in this field? What was your hero's journey, or whatever the experience was that kind of turned you on to this field to begin with?
I'll tell you, I turned to self-help because I was trying to help myself. I was a kid. I was abused. I was unhappy. I was introverted. I was insecure. You would not believe just how sad and dark my life was and how I viewed it. And I was turning to anything that might give me relief. Fortunately, I always loved books. So I was reading books even as a very little kid. And my favorite place to go then was a library. My favorite place to go today is a bookstore. Mm-hmm. So I'm still in love with books. I'm still a book addict. I even have some of my books behind me that you can see behind the chair. I very much love books. I turned to books as a kid, trying to find relief, trying to find answers. And I stumbled across self-help. I stumbled across books like The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol, and of course Dale Carnegie and Think and Grow Rich and all these other books. I was looking to self-help, to, in all transparent honesty, to help myself. And as I helped myself, as I kept working on myself, I ended up becoming more or less a specialist in that field.
Mhm.
That's not to say I'm still not working on myself. I am working on myself. There's a stack of books right here that are from the self-help category that are off the camera side, but I'm on Amazon every day. I'm still looking at me. I'm still looking at ways to improve, to grow, to stretch, to achieve more, to be more. And then as I discover what works, I turn around and I share it with the fan base, with people who are interested in it. So the short answer is I would turn to self-help because I needed help.
That's something I can relate to. I've been in recovery 38 years, so I've been on
Yeah.
that journey for a very long time in my life, and it's been amazing, and it's changed my life forever. It's the reason I wrote a book this past year. I just love this work. I love this field, and I love the people in it. Before I get too much further in any questions because of a time constraint, I have something important that I want to highlight here today. I understand that you are releasing a brand new book. Could you
You are
speak a little
correct.
bit about that?
Oh, well, actually, I was saving the news because I wanted to announce it on your show.
Oh, wow.
I saved it for you, Angel. I was so impressed with how you treated my love, Lisa, and how you did so well with that interview that first I said, well, I want to be on her show. And then second, I thought, I'm going to announce my new book on her show.
Oh, that's
So yes,
fantastic.
my new book is called Money Loves Speed, From Stress to Success. It reveals the 8 laws of attracting money. And more than that, it reveals the 10 beliefs that limit people from attracting money. And this book is all about the spiritual part of money, because I'm not into the material. I appreciate the material, but I want people to realize, and I want them to awaken to the idea that money is a tool to fulfill your spiritual dreams. That's the big insight. It's not about cars and shoes and travels and boats and whatever else that people might dream about. Nothing wrong with any of that. But money enables you to fulfill your dreams, and money enables you to make a difference in the world. So I've written this book as a labor of love. And Money Loves Speed is one of the principles in the book, because people need to realize when they get an idea, it comes as a gift. It comes as a gift from the universe. And the faster you act on it, the faster you can profit from it.
Right.
So Money Loves Speed is the new book. It's going on Amazon today.
Yay.
So I wanted to announce it. Thank you for letting me announce Money Loves Speed.
Oh, how exciting. What a perfect opportunity. This is wonderful. I wish you so much joy and success with it. You're just amazing. I can't even imagine reading 80 books. Forget about writing 80. I find it just all completely overwhelming and exciting. And, you know, I'm working on a second book right now. And the theme of the book is about attachment and letting go. And I think universally people struggle with either one or both of those things. What do you think? Do you think that that's something that people just generally fall short because they just can't seem to get a balance in their life? Or is that just what I've noticed around the world that I've seen?
Letting go and surrender is an advanced spiritual principle. It's a necessary one that we're all going to come up against at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean is, in this journey of awakening, we go through this process. We go through an evolutionary shift in consciousness where we usually leave victimhood and we become empowered, which I think is wonderful. Being empowered is great. It feels wonderful. But at some point, we bang our head against something we can't control. For example, I'm going through a divorce, and there's rough waters with this right now, and I wish that it was smoother, but I got to surrender to a process. My father died last year. If I had complete control of the world and I was empowered to handle everything, he'd still be alive. I had to surrender to that.
Mm-hmm.
I find that surrender is a spiritual tool and a spiritual technique, and it's a sign of advancement along the spiritual path. Along the way, we try to control everything, and we can't control life. We can influence life. We can put our requests out there. We can do our best to have, do, or be what we want. We can go out there and extend our intentions, and we can take inspired action. But we also have to realize that we're not the one in charge. We have more power than we ever imagined at any point in our lives. We are God-like, but we're not God. There is an invisible, universal intelligence, what I sometimes call the great something, what Joseph Campbell called the great mystery, and that intelligence is really guiding the way. The more we trust it, the more we surrender to it, the more we let go to it, the easier life is. This is a big insight that I had to get to along the way. When I was homeless and when I was in poverty and when I struggled for the longest time, it was because I was trying to control it. And I was trying to control life because I thought, well, I was smart and I'm smart enough to control it. Well, being smart is what got me homeless and in poverty and in depression. It wasn't until I let go to a higher power, to an intuitive nudge, to the great something kind of guiding my way by leaving breadcrumbs that I'd pick up and just keep walking and following, that life became more enjoyable. So I think what you're writing about is essential. I think most people will struggle with the concept until they realize they're not in control of everything. They have to, in some way, shape, or form, surrender. And surrender is not bad. Surrender doesn't mean, oh, I give up, I can't do anything. I'm talking about a surrender where you join forces with a higher power. And you're even more powerful because of it.
I think for me in my own life, which my book speaks a lot about, I had such severe issues with depression because I couldn't let go. I had issues with one of my kids and it was so painful. And I was in and out of hospitals just fighting for my life, trying to get myself to a place where I could cope. I don't know if you've experienced real serious depression, but I have, and I've learned the tools to get out as well, thankfully.
Good.
I found that depression actually is a form of addiction. People get addicted to that isolation. They get addicted to that whole way of life, even though it's destroying them and certainly isn't one that's serving them in any positive way. But it is something that I've noticed is a pattern. People just go back to it time and time again until they develop and learn tools to navigate their way out of it.
It's a kind of a comfort zone.
Yeah.
And it sounds ironic because it's not comfortable to be in it, but there is a known quality that makes it like a safety net. And I am not dismissing anybody who is going through depression. I have certainly been there just like you. What we need to do is own it, much like in Ho'oponopono when they say take 100% responsibility for what's going on. And then after you own it, start to learn the techniques, the methods, or call for help that can pull you out of the muck and the quicksand, and you can start to grow and get on your feet again.
Let's get into some solution conversation here. Let's talk about a tool or a tip or a golden nugget, if you will, Joe, that could help people to navigate life a little better. What do you use on a daily basis that really works for you?
All right, that's a great question. I use 2 or 3 different things, and I carry a bag of tricks in my brain. Because I've been a connoisseur of self-help techniques ever since the 1960s when I was a little kid, I've got a lot to pull from. But the 2 or 3 that I go to virtually every single day, first of all, is Ho'oponopono. I still love Ho'oponopono. I've been doing it for 15 years. I don't have to consciously say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, because now it's the background loop in my head. In the old days, I'd say it was the tape. But today we'd say it's a digital audio that's going on in my neurons. So I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I'm doing it all the time. Ho'oponopono is my right hand in my quest to go through life. Second thing I do almost every day is tapping. I'm a big believer of EFT. I first learned it from Roger Callahan, who was the originator of it. It was called TFT, Thought Field Therapy. It evolved to EFT, Emotional Freedom Techniques, and that's the tapping technique, which I'm sure you know about. And if somebody doesn't, I talk about it in the new book, Money, Love, Speed. There's lots of resources all over the internet. So that's the second thing that I do. The third thing that I do, I don't want to dismiss the power of awareness. What I'm doing on a regular basis is I'm reading, I'm listening, I'm meditating, and I'm practicing gratitude. I'm doing all of these different things. For example, I was reading a book, I'm just going to pull it out, The Power of Bad. Now, the power of bad, what is that all about? The power of bad is on the neuroscience proving that we are wired to focus to an overbalanced extent on bad news. And because we focus on bad news, we end up having a disrupted life. We can actually get more depressed because we're focused more on the bad. Well, by being aware that there is this part of my brain that is going to be on alert for the bad because it's a survival technique, I now know that I could guard against that trait.
Mm-hmm.
And because I can guard against that trait, I can now choose to focus more on optimism. So because of reading, and that just happened to be sitting there, I didn't plan that, but just because of reading that book, that technique has popped my awareness to a different way of living as I go through my day. So reading is incredibly important to me. That's why there's stacks of books behind me and over here to my left and to my right. And then I said meditation. I believe we have to make time for silence.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And when I say make time for silence, what I'm saying is make time to receive. Receive from the great something, receive from God, the divine universe, whatever you want to call it. I believe it's trying to talk to us all the time, but we're busy. We're on our cell phones. We are on the internet. We are doing whatever we are doing to just distract ourselves. And I think it's important to receive, get into the silence. And then gratitude. My God, I am a huge believer in that one technique alone. Anybody can do at any time, anywhere, for any reason. And you can even begin it when you're not grateful at all. You just pick something to be grateful for and you make it up to begin with. And as you start going through, I'm grateful for whatever it is, you'll actually move into a state of gratitude. That state of gratitude alone, all by itself, can transform you, elevate your vibration, and cause you to attract more into your life to be grateful for. And so that's 3, 4, 5, 6 things that I do virtually every day.
And every one of those is just fabulous. Particularly meditation. I know for me, it just absolutely centers me. And that's something that I myself need on a daily basis. And also to check in with my thinking and make sure I'm not holding on to some stuff that's really toxic and contractive and not serving my life in a positive way is something that I know I do every day. But thanks for sharing all that. What do you see as the future of personal development? I mean, we have generations of kids right now. I don't even see that they know too much about regular life skills. Forget about working with a coach. But what do you see the future as in terms of even the education system to get the type of work we do out into the world?
I love the question. I'm more of a realistic optimist than maybe other people. I see that there are more teachers that are bringing in law of attraction books into the classroom. I see that there are authors that are writing things for children and for adolescents. I see that there are more and more of the popular movies coming out that are delivering almost in a ninja-like way below the radar, but below the conscious blocking of it, messages about self-esteem, self-improvement, how to have a better life. Mm-hmm. To give you an example, Lisa and I watched the movie about Mr. Rogers last night, starring Tom Hanks, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. We watched it, we looked at each other at the end, we had tears in our eyes. Mm-hmm. And this was a movie that wasn't a biography of this man so much as it was about a journalist whose life was transformed because of some subtle things that Mr. Rogers had said to him. And the way the movie was done was to get the viewer, which could be kids, which could be adolescents, which could be adults or seniors, mm-hmm. who go to the movie just expecting you're going to be entertained with this show about a kid's guru. And instead you relate to the journalist who has problems with his father, who has problems with lack of forgiveness, who has problems with communicating his feelings. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the movie, he is connected to his father, he has forgiven his father, and he is opening his heart and starting to communicate. It's movies like that. There are books, there are courses, there are people who are infiltrating the culture with these messages that I think in the future are going to become more common. Let me give you one more example. 10 or so years ago, before The Secret came out, I don't think I ever heard a common person use the phrase, the law of attraction. If they came to one of my classes, they read my book, and maybe they would say law of attraction. But if I was out in public, I don't think I ever heard it. But anymore, I can be standing in line at a grocery store, and I remember this woman was sacking her groceries, and she was talking to the clerk. And they were talking about finding something that they couldn't find earlier. And one of them just kind of flippantly said, it was the law of attraction that made me find it. And I was in awe. It's like, how did that phrase get into the street level vernacular? and yet it's seeping in to the culture. So I'm confident the future's good. We got work to do, and we all have things to do, but I believe we're going to be fine.
I think enthusiasm is contagious, and good news travels fast on that one.
That's
and
exactly
I'm not surprised at all that the work is out into the world at the level that it is. So before we wind this down, I'm just curious, what's one thing about Joe that people just might not know that you would just love to share to give people a little bit of a other side of who you are?
You're so sweet to ask questions like that. Well, I do have other interests. I'm going to tell you, a few years ago, I got fascinated by strong men feats of strength. And that's when you take something like a horseshoe and you bend it with your bare hands, or you take a board and you drive a nail through it with your bare fist. I took training in that. I learned how to do it, and I still remember the exhilaration of having a horseshoe in my hand, and I was in front of 20-some people, and they're all urging me on how to bend it. And I'm trying and I'm trying and I'm trying. And I'm thinking, this isn't going to work. But I kept thinking to myself, you got to stay with it. It's one of the secrets of success, persistence. And as I did, it melted in my hands. And so I became a strong man. And I wrote a book called Anything is Possible, which is basically about the strongman training, but I translated it so that people can use the principles of strongman training to get any goal that they're going for. So I would say most people don't know I enjoy bending nails.
That's great. I'll tell you, you are just absolutely a delight to have on my show. It is such a joy to bring someone on who's so well versed and knowledgeable and has so many gifts and talents to share with the world. So I am so thrilled that you've been here with me today. Is there anything that maybe I've left out that you want to share that might be something important? I know you're going to Europe this summer. You're going to be teaching and speaking with Lisa.
Lisa and I are going to be dancing on stage, more or less speaking together and traveling. There's so many things to say. I'm wearing a t-shirt that says expect miracles.
I see that.
And I think that's the reminder to watch our thoughts, to watch when the mind starts to go down to, oh, crap happens or negative things take place, and just kind of monitor our thoughts and realize you're not your thoughts. You're separate from your thoughts, which gives you a little bit of objectivity, which gives you a little bit more power to pay attention to what you're actually going to follow on. Because if you start paying attention to the negativity, you'll fall into depression, you'll fall into procrastination. But if you start paying attention to, oh, I can think other than that, I can start to expect miracles and move in that direction, you will move in that direction. You'll be happier, you'll be healthier, and you'll accomplish more. I would invite people to go get the book at Amazon, Money Love Speed. And my main website these days is called Vitale LifeMastery.com. My last name, Vitale, Vitale, LifeMastery.com. Lots of courses, lots of freebies there as well. And for you, my goodness, I'm honored, I'm inspired to be here. I'm tickled pink. And you're doing God's work. Godspeed to you. You're touching lives. I can't wait for your next book to come out. Let go, follow inspiration, and get it done. We all are waiting for it.
And the best news is I have the amazing, beautiful Lisa Winston writing my foreword. So I couldn't be more thrilled. I really couldn't. Well, Joe, I just want to tell you again, it has been such an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. And many, many blessings with your new book. Continued success with all your work in the world. And thanks for sharing who you are with my viewers. I'm sure so many of them are intrigued, as well as I myself. So thanks again for being here. And happy Valentine's Day to you and the beautiful Lisa Winston.
Oh, thank you. Godspeed to you. I love what you're doing, and I love you.
Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you so much, Joe.